Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm not sure. Are you recording, Mia? Yeah.
I think so. I think I did it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it's nice to see you both. Hajjar and Mia are here together today, and we're going to talk about conscious business, and we're very excited. And I'm going to let Mia kind of lead because she knows so much about this, and Hajjar is her neighbor. So welcome, Hajjar. We're so happy to see you.
Well, thank you. I'm really thrilled to be connecting with you.
Yes.
Yes, thanks. Both of you for being here. This is so exciting because yes, Hajar is my neighbor, and I feel like I just want to share a little backstory because um, you know, I've always been very connected to nature and natural living, but I've had a lot of time in city life too. And when I was in New York in 2010, 11, I left in 2012, I was starting to really like feel leaving any kind of city existence, and I was tuning into off-grid living, homestead life. I was learning skills in my apartment. I got this book that I want to show you that's amazing. It's called Shelter, and it's from the 70s. And it's really beautiful and inspiring book about traditional housing all over the world. And then also some stuff like in the 60s and more like homemade housing, we kind of how we think of it today, dome homes, all kinds of stuff. It's a really fun book. And so I was just manifesting, what do I want to do next? And long story short, I ended up moving to the mountains not far from where Honey is now and living off grid in an earth ship. And that was a really magical experience. And I got used to living off grid and homesteading and sustainability. And just from there, I just really dove deeper into what what can we do? How can we shift the way that we're living, the housing, how we're building so that it feels more organic, it's more in harmony with the earth, and it just feels good and it's beautiful. And so I found at some point Hajar's work, and he is founder of Dome Gaia. And it's so beautiful, and we'll share the links, but I'm sure you guys have seen these images around because they're just so beautiful and they're shared really, really widely. And then when I found myself where I am on the island, lo and behold, I find out Hajar is my neighbor, and he actually has a property like quite literally across the street. And I was just so thrilled. And it was like, of course, like amazing synchronicity. So I think I just approached you, Hajar, at like the farmer's market, was like, oh my gosh, because I was so excited to find out this. And it's so great. We wanted to talk to you today because you just have so much wisdom to share. I want to hand it over to you in a second, but I also want to share that Hajar, as I understand, you are also the ancestor of Khalil Gibran, who wrote the beloved book, The Prophet, which I'm sure many of you guys here are familiar with. It's a beautiful, spiritually high vibration book. And I know Hajar, are a writer as well. So, I mean, there's so many fun things we can talk about, but I would just love to just hear a little bit of like your story and your inspiration for starting Dome Gaia, and yeah, how that came about for you, and whatever you feel called to share, and then we'll jump into kind of some more specifics.
Okay. But the first thing I noticed that both of you have your camera horizontal like that. Should mine be like this?
Oh yeah.
That's
Okay.
lovely. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Okay. So did you ask me a question?
Yeah, I will, just for the beginning, I would just love to like hear a little bit of like your story, just like how you came
Okay.
to what you're, because I know, yeah, I know you're a writer as well, and you're spiritually minded, and like what was the inspiration that led you to create these magical homes?
Oh, okay. What was the inspiration to create Dome Gaia? Well, inspiration. So um, I'm looking for where to start because my source of inspiration started early in life. You know, my beloved brother, I was 14, he was 15, and he accidentally shot himself, and I found him dead. And that was
Wow.
like this really traumatic experience for me because he was a part of me. And that's really what opened me up to the spirit world, where my inspiration comes from. And so it was dealing with that, his death and my own pain around that, my own need to connect with him, that I had some experience with hypnotherapy, and that led into shamanic work. And so my inspiration is really grounded in my connection to spirit, my connection to my spirit guides, and yeah. So, and what I've realized in my life is that connection gets mirrored, like my inner world is mirrored in my outer world. And it just sort of blows my mind and just makes me more passionate about my inner life and wanting to connect and call in my angels and communicate with my spirit guides. And my writing, for instance, is grounded in that world, in that dialogue. When I write, I'm not writing about what I think. I'm writing what spirit is telling me. So it's like what I'm writing comes from, I call it the voice of love. It's the voice that knows me, understands me, and loves me and wants to help me. And so that's a practice that I continue. And I also do that through music. Like a lot of times it'll just come through as poetry that I'll turn into a song. And then like one song that I sing a lot, it's just calling on my angels. The chorus is just angels come to me. And then there's a bunch of verses that get more specific about what I'm asking for. But, and when I started Domegaia, I was singing, that song was really alive for me at the time, because I really felt like I needed guidance, I needed help. And so, and it was really funny because, Domegaia just sort of started rolling, and had so much people had so much passion for what I was sharing. And my team started coming together, and my very first teammate was this young man named Gabe, and he's still Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe built my gate, or my fence, my wooden fence, and he's lovely human.
Yeah, he's amazing. Anyway, so he was the first. It was me and Gabe really starting it. And then Rafa came, and he was the second teammate.
They're both angel names. I'm sorry, I know.
But get this, the next one was Mike, and so it was me, Gabe, Rafa, and Mike, and we're all singing the angel song around the fire and stuff, and I didn't even realize it. And somebody pointed out, "Do you realize you're calling in the angels, and your team is Raphael, Gabriel, and Michael?" And anyway, I just thought that was really cool. So I just I'm really bow down to the power of spirit, that how it responds, and I feel like it's so magical. And so the other angel or spirit guide I worked a lot with was this chief engineer in this fantasy futuristic city, and in some like galaxy. And I would just go into trance and connect with this this chief engineer, called it the Crystal City. And he didn't really give me specific like instructions, but it was just making that connection that I feel like inspired magical things to happen. And you know, whatever, it inspired my creativity. I felt in my soul that I had some kind of really high level support, and that affected my sense of confidence, my imagination, my creativity. So that, I think that was really significant. Yeah.
So cool. I talk
Wow.
about the crystal cities a lot, so I'm really that was
Oh,
so
really?
fun hearing that from you. Yeah.
I got chills and I was like, honey, you're gonna have to say share.
Yeah. So that's something that we're gonna move into eventually. Crystal cities. That's
What do
a
you-
higher density reality that we're moving into now. So it could take a while, but eventually we will see crystal cities. Mhm.
Okay, I'm curious what you mean, but what are you actually seeing when you say Crystal City?
Well,
Are you-
I've been drawing them since I was little, and they're basically, they look like a castle,
Okay,
but they're made of like a liquid crystal type material, and they come up to a point.
okay,
Instead of just being like a castle, it's just round and then it has a little top on it. Like they actually come to a point at the end,
okay.
and they're all lit up. So every time that I notice them, in a vision or whatever, or if I was drawing them, they would be yellow. So they're lit up
Oh,
from the inside out.
So
yeah.
can I show you
that-
guys something really quick? I gotta
Sure.
grab something.
Yeah. So it's so fun.
These
Yeah.
are my crystal bowls, and they are melted crystal. So imagine whenever Honey talks about this, I imagine it's like a building, using that as kind of a way of building a
Yeah.
material
Yeah.
because they've been melted.
Wow. Well, that's really fascinating. Yeah, it
So then if
sounds
you,
like
So
I'm gonna
fun.
have to explore that a little more.
and then if you think of the resonance that would have too, because there's such, I mean, their frequency sound, healing bowls, then they would inherently have a certain resonance to them as well. So that's pretty interesting.
It is.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, love all of your sharing so far. So inspiring. Could you just for a moment, just in case there's anybody who hasn't seen the domes, maybe just describe one of your favorite ones, maybe even like one of the ones on your land, or just so people can kind of get a visual?
Well, you mean bring something up on the screen? No.
Oh no, just
No.
kind of describe like how it's made and what it looks like, and
I can bring it up while he's describing it if he wants.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much online about them, and we have a cluster of 3 domes here. Oh yeah, there's Steve's dome. That was the first one that really went viral that we built in Thailand for my brother-in-law, and with my brother-in-law, I should say. He's a very creative artist and engineer and designer, and was really instrumental in the starting of Domegaia. But for anyone who doesn't know, Domegaia builds out of air-crete. Air-crete's a term that I coined to describe the material that's been around for about 100 years. It's aerated concrete, and it's really lightweight, easy to work with. Yeah, that's the one. The one in the middle there is the one just outside my door here.
Oh, nice.
But what Domegaia has done is made lightweight cement available to the do-it-yourself builder. It's been around as an industrial material and used in like highway construction, bridge construction, and mining, but there was no equipment available or techniques being taught for using it for do-it-yourself builders or residential housing. And so that's what that's what we've done with Domegaia, is created, fairly low cost equipment for making this lightweight cement and teaching people how to make it and how to work with it. And it's a pretty amazing material because it's inexpensive, and it provides insulation and structural integrity all in one material. And it doesn't take a lot of skill to build with it. It's kind of like building an igloo, stacking blocks and shaping them.
I've just seen so many. I mean, you've made so many beautiful things here, and then I know people in Topanga Canyon who I don't know if your team helped or they did it on their own, but they have these like crystals embedded in them, and they're just magical, fairy abodes. I mean, they're so special. And I know, Hajjar, you were also talking about building a seashell pool, was it, on your land?
Yeah, we did. I built a seashell steam room at our place
okay.
in Thailand. But that wasn't out of air-crete. That was out of ferrocement. And I have a design for a seashell steam room and covering half of the swimming pool for a pool we plan to build here. But it hasn't made it to the top of the priority list yet.
There's a lot going on. Yeah.
Yes.
I just love that. I just love like letting people like, think about that, because think about the possibilities. Imagine just being, moving into this new earth where we're able to create anything we want, any way we want to live. I mean, a seashell steam room, that sounds amazing. I want one, please. And even like the gate at your property across the street, it's this beautiful moon gate. It's this beautiful archway, and then a round wooden gate that moves like this. I mean, it's so special. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, well, I'm glad you like it. I appreciate it.
So I feel like you already talked a little bit about how you call the people in, which sounds like kind of how we operate. It's kind of just putting that intention out there for the energy. I mean, you're calling literally in the angels to work with you. So that's inspiring. But also, like, I know when I've been at your studio, you've just talked a little bit about your philosophy on your workflow, and I'd love if you could share about that too, because it seems like you're just always kind of transforming your process, even, if that makes sense.
Well, let's see. I mean, one thing a couple of things I discovered, in my earlier years. One was that when I aligned myself with my spiritual mission, that sort of the red carpet got rolled out for me. And that was really magical. I mean, just the fact that, if you actually officially organize yourself as a spiritual mission, then, you're in a whole different kind of tax bracket. And I know when I lived in Colorado, I created a spiritual organization. And when I sold the property, I didn't have to pay capital gains tax, for instance. And, just discovering that, because we're not really taught that we're spiritual beings on a spiritual mission. We think that's just for like people who are priests or something, but we're all spiritual beings, and we all have the capacity to connect with our passion, our purpose, our mission. And just by doing that, doors open. Just by doing that, magic happens. Life gets less mundane and more mystical. So I feel like that's really something to understand. And also that there's really magic in having a big vision. Don't think about just how you're going to survive. If that's the level of your intention, is how am I going to survive? That's the level you'll be living your day-to-day life. But if you have a belief in your, in miracles and in your ability to actually, be the main character in the story of your life, to be the star of some grandiose happening that is your life, that also invites a lot of support. Just, if all you're doing is trying to survive, you're just concerned about yourself, nobody really cares. Nobody's going to really get behind you. But if you're actually dedicated to doing something that's going to be, make the world better, then all the people who believe in wanting the world to be better in the same way you do, they're going to be behind you. They're going to support you. So I feel like that's the other thing that's really important for, that I learned, that I want people to understand, because it's just a mindset. There's nothing you really have to do, or you don't have to go to college to get this. You don't have to, all you have to do is understand it, that if you're here to make the world better, then you're going to be supported. And isn't that what Christ said, right? Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else will be given unto you, something like that.
That's how the universe works.
Yeah, that's how the universe works.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Really well said, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing thing, because I think that business as we go will be more and more conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be connected to the spirit of the business, the spirit of yourself, and what you want it to unfold like.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to manipulate it so much either. We're going to allow it to unfold the way it wants to.
Exactly. And I think that's what you were kind of asking about, Mia, when you were asking the question. It's like this idea, it's something that I sort of dedicated myself to, and maybe it's just because I'm lazy, I don't know, but I decided that my life is going to be easy.
Yes.
That I was going to, that if I didn't feel it, then I wasn't going to do it, something like, just that I needed to be connected to my heart. I needed to be connected to something true, and I needed to feel it. I needed to follow, spirit had to live through me. I didn't want to be, directing my life so much from my mind, as I wanted to somehow open and allow. And I feel like that was a pretty magical thing. I still don't fully buy into it, though. I think of people like Elon Musk, I just admire him so much, what grandiose visions and accomplishments. And that guy does not wait for it to be easy, So I guess it depends. I basically am maybe a little lazy. I want things to be easy. I don't like stress. I don't like conflict. And so I'm not a fighter, unless it's something, that shows up in my day that I'm feeling like fighting for. But I'm not going to design my life to be a battle, something I'm going to fight for. I like to live in this state of more surrender to what wants to come through, and more allowing.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it, because that's how the universe works. So you get provided for as you just kind of, you're singing and asking for beautiful people to show up, and they do. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing, since you asked, the other principle that really inspires me is how life works, how the universe works. There's nobody in charge. I mean, the birds are just out there doing their thing. The trees are out there growing, and there's no boss saying, okay, the sun's up, so it's time to, whatever, get up. Everything is just managed by some self-organizing principle. And that really inspires me too. Like when I created Domegaia, that was a principle that was really strong for me. I didn't want to be a boss. I didn't want to have employees. I wanted to create something that empowered people, and just through sharing and empowering something that they would take and run with it, and it would just grow in that way. And I mean, I had a business model, because Domegaia, we created the equipment that we sold, we charged for the trainings, we charged for designs, but the idea was anyone was free to do whatever they wanted with it. And a lot of people started their own companies and started teaching their own workshops. And there are people all over the world now building them and doing what they're doing. But it's something about just creating something that empowers others to take it and run with it. I see how that can really change the world fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, that's really beautiful. It was just making me think about how, like, the energetics, I mean, you're already operating in, like, kind of what we would call in the new earth energetic, or even the age of Aquarius, because we're kind of more just shifting more of the collective into that now. I think there was a big astrological thing on the 19th that was like formally starts the age of Aquarius, but really that kind of part of that energetic is really about everything you're talking about, but it's like moving out of hierarchy too.
Yeah.
So, and into more collaborative ways. So you're just channeling that in early, an early adapter. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
It really helps too, because you're kind of holding space for what's coming next. You've created that, and people see that you've created it, and now they're like, oh, maybe I can do something too. I can follow my intuition as well. Look how it turned out. Hajjar's doing well. He's happy, and he followed his heart, So, and that's the way business, I think, will unfold in the future. It will be more and more that way. And I was dealing with a really big business today, and I was very dissatisfied with some of the things going on in there, because they don't really care about the people at all. So you have like a lot of weird energy when you're dealing with something that's too big. So they've lost their humanity.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So and you're dealing with somebody on the phone that's like, well, the rule says this, this, and this,
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's such a breath of fresh air to imagine that it's not going to be that way at all anymore. And I don't really see it. I see it's collapsing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's totally collapsing now. And what's beautiful, and I love to just kind of remember too, is it's kind of what you're talking about. If you're, and a lot of what you're talking about, I feel like it's like you also really have to have a lot of self-love too, because it's not laziness. It's like you're actually just following your intuition and your soul's guidance, but we've been taught that that's bad or that is lazy or whatever. So you have to have this strength and this trust to like go with that. And it's going to be easier, I think, as we move forward for people to connect to that. It's going to be more championed, and also by our system, since the old systems are crumbling and we're moving into these new ones. It's been the energetics have always been true, what you're talking about, but it's definitely been more difficult for people to fully tap into that because of so much dissonance and yucky systems and frequency warfare, what have you. But as we move forward, there's just going to be so much support, and we're moving into a period where much abundance is going to be returned to the people. And so in the higher frequency kind of new earth, whatever we want to call it, there's going to be so much more to connect with for people who are doing what you're saying. Like it's, for the early adapters, it's like you really had to be so clear and strong in that path. And I think it's going to get easier in that, in the past, say there were all these agendas, and if people went with those state agendas, whatever they were, they could be the climate narrative or whatever, they would get funding for their project. But as it shifts, we're moving away from that, and it'll be the people who are actually in truth and have the inspiration for the future, like projects like you're doing, things that are going to be good for everybody and that are coming from that love and that true inspiration, that's going to attract the abundance, because it's based on frequency. So it's about to just explode to where it's going to be so much easier if you're kind of working in this paradigm that you're basically articulating so well, Hajjar. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yay for that.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a book I read. Have you read Reinventing Organizations? It was several years, probably over 10 years ago I read it, but that really inspired me. It's all about self-managing, self-governing systems. And it talks, has examples of companies all over the world that are structured that way and just how well it works. And it's kind of a boring title, Reinventing Organizations, but it was one of those books that brought tears to my eyes when I read it. It was so inspiring.
That's good. Yeah, people are not tolerating the 8-hour workday anymore either.
Oh, yeah.
So many people are just like, no, I'm not doing that. So it is shifting already. And as it continues to shift, people will be doing a lot of their own projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
It is. Yeah. Really cool. I'm so excited because I was so excited to see all of your stuff on YouTube all those years ago. And my mother said, look at this. It's air-crete. This is the thing. This is the one. And I'm like, okay. So then I do all the research and I buy the machine and do all this stuff. And then we moved and we're off grid. And it would be great to start to create these things. I'm really excited because I think it's an amazing material. And it's so much easier to work with than a lot of other stuff because you can cut it with a saw, you can lift it very easily.
Yeah.
And you can manipulate it really easily and make blocks. And I don't know, I was thinking, I wonder if I can create a foam or an air-crete truck that I can pour it out of, just like the regular cement truck instead.
Oh,
so that was
well, there are cement companies where you can buy, they call it cellular concrete or foam concrete or aerated concrete. You can, there are companies, not on this island, but in Oahu there is one, but they tend to charge more for air-crete than regular cement, even though it's much cheaper to produce, but they have to invest in all the big industrial equipment and they consider it a specialty product. So it is available. And actually now there are quite a few companies who are manufacturing air-crete blocks. So you can just go out and buy the blocks. You don't even have to make them yourself. And it may end up costing a little bit more, but it'll save you a lot of labor. So that's really worth considering too.
Yeah, I just love the speed of it as well, because you have something that's really not that hard to create, and it's mostly air because you're using soap, right?
Yeah.
And it's mostly air and you're getting all that insulative, benefit. And I was like, well, I'd love to have like 10-inch thick walls
Right
with,
where you are, yeah.
yeah, with the air-crete, and then put a beautiful covering over, whether it's limestone or, whatever over the
Right.
outside, and create like a castle. That's
Yes.
so fun.
You could do it 2 feet thick if you wanted. Then you'd really be cozy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so fun.
Yeah, it's
And
cool
it
because you
doesn't
can,
mold either. Doesn't get
No,
mold. Yeah.
as long as you seal it.
Mhm.
yeah, I just love that even when like, yeah, you can do these grandiose, like amazing big projects. And then also I remember Hajar stopping by your place and he was making these beautiful big bathtub that was amazing. And I think you said you took like one of those exercise balls to help shape it, but it was so cool. And I was
Yeah,
like, I want that.
yeah, we did 2 exercise balls with a 5-gallon bucket in between them, wrapped them with cellophane. But that wasn't air-crete. That was fabric-crete.
Oh,
We soaked some fabric in cement and then wrapped it around the exercise balls, built the tub upside down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've seen that stuff too. I like that.
And now we're actually making buildings out of fabric-crete, which I really love for Hawaii.
Mm.
We don't really need insulation here.
Mhm. So fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a lizard crawling down your wall, and I was like, "Ah, fun."
Oh, yes. We've got our geckos.
Yeah, so cute.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I know that's what's so beautiful is it's like you're just inspired you're always inspired when I talk to you, and there's always, you've new ideas coming in and new projects, and just in that flow of really operating like an artist, and it's just really cool and inspiring to be around.
Well, you're so kind. Yeah.
Um, is there anything about like what you were just talking about, or what you're moving into, or that you want to share, or even just kind of any vision that you have for the future related to the project or not related to the project?
Well, let's see. I don't know what really to say. Um, I'm really inspired by what you've been saying, just how we're moving into this time when people are going to be more creative. And I feel like that's I really would love to play a role in that world, to really help people tap into their spirits, their source of inspiration, their source of guidance, and to help, to support them in, developing their ideas and calling on the support to make them happen. There's a really simple formula that I like to use, and I tell people about, is that just have your vision, what it is that you want to do, just kind of 3 steps. Give it a name. As soon as it's named, it's kind of exists. That and then describe it, and have an event where you invite people to come to launch it.
Mhm.
And all you have to, that's how easy it can be to launch something creative, is name it, publish it, and invite people to participate in it. And when people show up, that's when the magic starts happening.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So
So,
true. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, because people think they're, that they have to do so much to somehow be ready, that their grandiose ideas or their dreams are something that are unattainable, because they might seem unattainable. But if all you have to do is name it, publish a description of it, and that can be really basic. It can be just a one-liner, you know, because that can develop over time, and then invite people to, you know, come to an event where it's all about this. That's all you have to do. The rest will happen. You know, you just have to keep showing up for it and keep, you know, keep the juice alive in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the creativity is making things solid. And you've known that for a long time. But I feel like a lot of people, they're coming out of their trauma state. You know, their procrastination has to do with trauma. And as they go forward, they're going to let go and they're going to realize how creative they actually are. And to have somebody tell them that is brilliant, because they've overcomplicated it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, the trauma can be what inspires, you know, because to me, what our vision wants to do, it is to satisfy the need.
Mhm.
You know, there's a need that we're here to satisfy. And when there's a trauma, that need is really felt, you know, and so just identify what's needed, you know, like say if you're, you know, like if you're a woman and you're suffering domestic abuse, start a domestic abuse organization, you know, give it a name, have a mission, and invite people to show up for it. And it'll, you know, if it's meant to happen, if there's energy there, you know, you can just ride the energy, let it inspire you. So it's like, what is missing in your world? What is the need that you're here, that you want? You know, it's like Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. What's missing in your life that you feel inspired to do something about?
Yeah.
And give it a name.
Yes.
Love it.
I love it. I don't want to, I almost want to say anything and ruin it. It's just so profound and beautiful and needed message, I think, for many. Yeah.
So very good. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's been great.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Well, you're so welcome. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, it's been fabulous. Okay, thanks everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Aloha.